Scanning for audio.
Hello, you. I thought I'd have a chat with you about not Doctor Who. A chat with you about Tiptoe. You see, I've just made my way through all of the episodes of Tiptoe. My wife suggested we watch it because she's a fan of Queer as Folk. And I thought, I've heard some decent things. Let's give it a go. And I did. And a weird thing happened. I thoroughly enjoyed it, which is par for the course. But more importantly, narratively wise, it stayed with me over the next few days. So much so that I've gone, I know, I'm going to talk about it now in the podcast. Well, that's just a bit weird. I mean, let's face it, it's not sci-fi. And the only real reference to sci-fi in Queer as Folk is the fact that he's a big Doctor Who fan and K9 makes an appearance. And of course, that's where the joke Paul McGann, who doesn't count, comes from, which is why Paul McGann was against, and blah, 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 blah. We all know this, right? Queer as Folk was seminal. It really was. It was a groundbreaking piece of, literature, art, that Channel 4 presented it with us. Series 1, absolutely groundbreaking. Series 2, not so much. Series 1, absolutely brilliant. Because we'd not seen anything like it before. And this was Russell talking about his people, his community, his world. Now, Tiptoe is an extension of that. Arguably, there are characters who exist from Queer as Folk who appear in Cucumber, and there are characters from Cucumber who appear in this. Now, I've not seen Cucumber, but my money is on possibly either Denise Welch or the drag queen, the Duchess, who sat in the bar in this one. You can put a note in the comments, send me a message, send me an email, whatever you want to correct me on this if you've already seen it. But the important bit is that there are themes which are dealt with. Now, I know when Russell is writing and he says, if you're writing, you deal with characters and the themes come out. Right, and I get that. But the thing is, the themes have truly come out on this one. They've presented themselves in front of us and we've gone, yep, we get that. We totally do. Anyone out there watch the Stephen Graham, it all shot in one camera thing about, not about the man's manosphere, incel culture, all that business. The one that raised questions in Parliament. That one, right? The one that was on Netflix. Now, admittedly, I watched it originally because it was all shot in one go, apparently, with the, the nice technical aspects of that. That was what dragged me in. But I watched it, and it did raise some important points about the exposure to social media in the world. Okay, now I know as of very recently, and this week, in fact, it's just been announced that the UK government are going to try and ban social media for anyone under 16, which is brilliant because how are they supposed to do their homework? Blah, 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 blah. You know all these arguments. You don't need to do that. The villain of this particular show isn't the right-wing man who's having a crisis, a midlife crisis, and can't cope with anything, although that's the way it's seen, the one played by David Morrissey, who, again, it's a Doctor Who reference because he played the next Doctor. No, the real villain of this is telephones, mobile phones. There are so much awfulness going on, and at its core, at the core of all of these issues is the mobile phone. You've got people on social media. Secrets get announced on social media, just like real life. People's conspiracy theories, the lies that people believe, the truths that people choose to believe, the truths that people are being told, and the lies, and so on. It's all fed in. Now, there's one bit towards the end where you know what? Your name's gone. This is the best thing I've seen him in years. And because I'm doing this straight off the cuff and just talking directly to you, I've forgotten his name and it'll just really annoy. It's the main central character. It's Leo. And he's talking to his friends. Now, in every single episode, there is what I can only describe as almost, let's put it in Doctor Who language, a moment of charm, like Pertwee used to have, where he would talk directly to his companion, but you know he's talking straight to the audience. There's at least one of those per episode. Duchess does an absolutely superb one, all about how they used to go through life going, ta-da, I'm here now, and now they tiptoe. It's what the whole programme is named after, this speech. It's a glorious piece of writing, but there's one of those in every single episode. Morrissey does a whole story about himself. There's an entire episode, episode 3, is dedicated to explaining why he's like the way he is and who he is. And that basically, because he's not a nice guy, there's a brilliant speech by the guy who he used to work for that covers Brexit, and that he's had his dreams taken away from him because of people like you voting for that. And yet 2 episodes later, the guy says, we never really left Europe because you're going to have to obey the electricity rules in 2027. Nobody gets to win with Brexit. No one won. The people who won't be happy unless somebody's driving along the streets collecting other people who don't look like them in vans and making them vanish. Those are the people that we are scared of, because everything has become about fear. Fear of the not we. And because of the internet, everyone else is the not we. And that's what this programme's really about. So it's covering the same sort of stuff as that Stephen Graham thing, but it's done a lot more poetically. If you've considered, yes, there is a scene where everyone's using a mobile phone or their own private world of entertainment, literally to entertain themselves, which I would suggest you don't watch with the rest of your family, because you might just be a tiny bit more embarrassed than usual. But it's the phones, it's the interconnectedness of the whole thing that really speaks to me of this whole story. All of the lies, all of the truth, they're all here and they're all being told to us. So yes, I enjoyed it. And yes, because you know the very ending, 10 seconds into the start of episode 1, you know how the final episode ends, and you are almost screaming at the TV to say, please just find a way out. I know how this ends and I want it to end differently, and it doesn't. And then, once things have gone horribly wrong and you find out what happens to the characters afterwards, there's a speech at the very end about how the darkness is coming, and it's soul-destroying. And then there's a final title card at the end that just leaves you in bits. Because you go, what? How did that... Oh... And it's that sigh, that emotional resonance that's going to stay with you after you've watched this. It's about the outsider. It always was, and that's what Russell has always written. The Doctor is the outsider. And people on the internet have gone, hey, if Russell can write something this good, why is the last series of Doctor Who so not good? But you know what? I still have that theory. You've only got, even the best writers amongst us, have only got, 20... 30 at tops Doctor Who stories in them, probably 10, possibly 5. Let's face it, a lot of us out there have gone, oh, do you know what would make a good Doctor Who story? And they've got that one in their head. Like everyone's got one novel, perhaps everyone's got one Doctor Who story in them. And if you become the showrunner and you keep milking and mining that, let's face it, even Moffat was turning to his kids in the end to do that whole generational spaceship thing and go, yeah, so that was his kid's story on that one, because his own personal Doctor Who mine had been mined. It's not his fault. We asked him to do a job he should not have had to do. And that was where we went wrong. We went wrong doing that. Yes, Doctor Who's going to be out for tender. Yes, we're probably not going to get it back for 2, maybe 3 years. At the earliest. We've already had 2 years with it not in production, so there'll be a 5-year gap. Well, you know what? Let's just hunker down and wait for that to pass. Spend some quality time with each other, talking about other things. I'm not going to tell us all to touch grass, but we need to let it go, let it breathe, let it recover. And let people who want to tell their own stories join the groups and then move on. Right. I enjoyed it. It was destroying it destroyed your soul. It left its marks, and that's good. I went off to find years and years and went, you know what? There's several Russell things I've never watched. I've never ever seen Second Coming. It really doesn't appeal to me at all. And I know a lot of Doctor Who fans went out and watched that as soon as Eccleston was announced, but that's 20 years ago. So I thought, I know, it's a sin. Well, we know how it ends and we know what that's really about. But it was years and years that appealed to me. And I went on to iPlayer and it's gone. It's just not there. And I know it's a whole dystopian how England becomes a terrible place, which in many respects is another theme of this piece. See, Russell is angry, and that is good because angry will get you somewhere. But it won't help you write Doctor Who episodes. Perhaps, and here's a theory that no one's discussed, but perhaps the reason that Star Trek isn't being made, that Star Wars isn't being made, that Doctor Who isn't being made, is that these are programmes of hope. And at the minute, hope's going to have a little bit of a holiday. Which is sad, but let's face it, these things can come back. Hope springs eternal, doesn't it? Right, I'm going to go now, not play you a trailer, but just go. And until next time, when I'll hopefully be talking about something more pleasant, be seeing you. That was the Tin Dog Podcast. All topics discussed are the intellectual property of the copyright owners. No infringement is intended. Why not follow the show on Blue Sky at tindogpodcast.bsky.social. If you've enjoyed this podcast on YouTube, please click like and subscribe. To contact the show, email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.